trying to get you folks to understand this is how the smoke and mirrors works. I just simply want to find out what happened to the American dream as someone who is living the American nightmare. You got to know the facts, and if we came together, we could overcome the corruption that's murdering us all.
I'm just trying to make the world aware of the truth, and I've got it.
Coming to you from the great, beautiful Northwest, Seattle, Washington. I'm on business trip, and I was going to kind of give the truth bombs a slight reprieve, kind of just see how, my last couple of messages might land. But given what's going on in the stock market and the broader economy and politics and everything else, I just thought I better drop one in the midst of all of this stuff, because, and it's kind of funny that last night I just happened to, while I was doing some other work, prepping for this meeting that I have today, that I happen to have the Matrix on in the background, and this shit's coming at me like Neo in the Matrix, man. It's slow fucking motion, and it's been everything I've been telling you since we started this thing, ultimately in desperation, to try to get our voices heard, because our efforts in the con got canceled by the machine that's going to cancel most of you, okay? And will continue to cancel all of us until there's some sort of reconfiguration of how things work. But I'll be honest with you, my theory is that, we're reaching the cataclysmic end of really everything I've been on this insane odyssey to uncover for the past 13 years. Which has constituted my entire life going back decades. And I'm 53 years old, but definitely the last 4 decades. What we're in the midst of is a system, a globalism that feeds the oligarchs above the line that are seemingly untouchable at literally the world's expense. It's the new pharaohs, it's the new aristocracy, it's the new commissars, whatever the fuck it is. It's just this autocracy in spades that's fueled by insane monetary policy that is propped up by the Federal Reserve of the United States and central banks around the world. And, for all of you speculators out there in, crypto, what I've been telling my friends in crypto for a very long time is that, look, it's a fucking pump and dump, man. It's a scam because, I know that El Salvador accepts crypto completely, and I don't know what's happened the last few days since the collapse last week in crypto. I don't know if there's some changes quickly or what kind of outbreak contagion that's going to create in that society, but it certainly wasn't, on top of its game beforehand. But, try to go out and buy a house with crypto right now. I'm sure some people might accept it, on the open market, but crypto traders, possibly. But by and large, it doesn't have a practical value in society, and it hasn't, and it won't until, the whole world configures itself to go that way. And if it does, it's going to be based on people like Vladimir Putin and probably Saudi and drug cartels that benefit from this stuff, that want everybody to go to backstop their currency, that they trade their commodities in, as opposed to the dollar. I mean, again, the dollar got to its global hegemony because we won World War II and we were a superpower for a very long time, and the world wanted to depend on dollars, and we're more stable than most, if not all, countries around the world. But it's all out of whack now, and it's coming to a head, and it might be collapsing completely. And how prolonged and how long is really anybody's guess. But at the same time, you have to be aware the United States has amazing capacity. We have amazing technology. We have incredible infrastructure. We have incredible brains. If we had the right people in power, we could reconfigure the United States to basically get to the next level to reinvent itself before we have to blow it up and we have to dig out of the ashes. That I'm convinced of. I went and made this film, Forward 13, Waking Up the American Dream. Well, I laid it all out there, but it was prologue to the con. But what's important in this context for you to understand, especially for those haters out there, I think are trolls, really, that want to be like, one guy said the argument years, that was happening back in 2008, and it was like, hey, if you pay your bills, no problem, right? That guy and all the other zombies, the lobotomized zombies out there, you can go eat a bag of dicks and choke on yourself on the side of the road. I hope you disappear. Honestly, you gross freaking wacko morons. Yeah, it's not quite that. People like me paid our bills, you fucking moron. It's that we had to reconfigure the situation, and that's what happened in collapses during business. Is you typically kind of configure the deal because they made the 2008 financial crisis happen by a whole bunch of deceptive acts and practices that set people up, and they're doing it again on adjustable rate mortgages, where there were hidden factors to try to get people to blow up. Like you might be paying $2,500 for your mortgage, and then suddenly it balloons up to $3,600 while the economy crashes. People couldn't afford it, so they try to modify their rates, based on what the market value of the house was and all of those other things that go into actually constitute what proper underwriting and lending are all about. But that never happened. But meanwhile, what we ended up doing was spending trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions of fucking dollars to the animals and these motherfuckers that get their fucking money for free, and then they get to act like, hey, you know what? Pay your bills. How about this freeloading motherfucker that doesn't pay any taxes? And that's the situation. Is that the upper crust? They don't pay taxes. They get banks to loan against their assets that they don't pay taxes on to get free money in every situation imaginable. Especially in the cocaine rallies of these freaking stocks based on and bonds based on sawdust. See, that's the thing. You, the common person, doesn't understand the level of depravity, the level of deception, the level of bullshit that constitutes this fictionalized financial economy. I mean, they are literally parasites on the engine of innovation. They are parasites on the engine of freedom and liberty and justice for all. They're perverted, deceptive, just freaking diseased. They remind me of that character, the father of Braveheart, the guy who ultimately portrayed William Wallace, and then he came back. I can't remember his name at the moment, but if you've ever seen the movie Braveheart, the father of the Lord, right? The lords are always trying to hedge their bets and go with Longshanks. I mean, that's what the rich do, right? And again, I'm not against success. I'm not against by any means. In fact, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an upwardly mobile guy. I'm a wildcatter. I'm in the same sort of vein that my grandfather was. As a producer, you go out and you hustle business and you make things happen. If you put deals together and you hit the strike and you make money, good on you. Same if you're in any kind of business, quite frankly. But I'm a guy that believes in balance and things working well in collaboration and working with the best of the best to make the best product, and that hopefully people will buy it. But what we've been up against in this crazy lunatic market is that, since 2019, let's call it, well, first of all, a bunch of things have happened in 2019 to now that have created this situation that's absolutely going to blow up and out of control. And it's the proper ending to this insanity that we've created for literally decades, like I've mentioned before. So what happened? 2019, first of all, before COVID, we had a run on global derivatives market where the Federal Reserve literally pumped over $20 trillion again into the bag, too big to fail financial apparatus that constitutes, like Chase and Citigroup and Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs and hedge funds and asset managers, and the biggest one, of course, being BlackRock and that sort of thing. And literally, this was to backstop a derivative run. And nobody knows exactly what caused that derivative run, but I can tell you, when you created all this liquidity in the market and you pump it into these freaking schemers that are just vile, freaking deceptive con artists, what they do is like this guy, Bill Hwang. They bet every which way to Sunday to hyper-value stock or inside trade or any sort of manipulation on the shorts, or on the short term, I should say, in which if you're in the game, you can see gigantic ups, especially when Jerome Powell is pumping trillions upon trillions of dollars into the ecosystem of finance. And then ultimately, we had COVID. COVID brings the whole fucking world to a standstill. Then the next thing you know, people are buying real estate like crazy. Why? Because of this liquidity pump, right? I mean, in the neighborhood, so I got fucking crushed in 2008. But the end of that is that I go watch the con. We think we're going to, light the world on fire. Tens of millions of people are going to watch the con, but we get canceled by the machine. Like I've told you before, the machine, the BlackRocks, the Chases, the Goldmans, all of those that we expose in the con, ultimately now are the largest shareholders because of this liquidity scenario. Quite frankly, going back to 2009, but it never stopped. They ended up becoming the largest board members of Netflix and, doing mega mergers and acquisitions with HBO, which is Time Warner, and that was done with Goldman and Chase. And so maybe word got out, hey, this guy Patrick's got to be silenced. He's got to be put on the sideline. The truth that he's got in the con with William K. Black, the only criminologist in the United States, the Michael Jordan of criminology that put 30,000 criminal referrals on the table for the savings and loan crisis back in the late 80s, early 90s. Which was 180th the size of the 2008 Great Financial Crisis, and we sent 30,000 guys, to court, and then ultimately there was about 1,000 of them got convicted, including white collar fraud. But that just basically put a dent on it. But we learned the right methodology in government to be able to, hold these white criminal con artists to account. But what we did was we sidelined them because basically the Clinton administration came into power, and the Clinton administration created this relationship with Wall Street, and they created what was known as reinventing government, and then they put guys like my mentor on the sidelines. And I grew up at a time where law and order made sense. Like you send a Texas Ranger into a riot, you send one Texas Ranger with 1,000 people rioting, and he's going to freaking get law and order going, right? That's kind of my mindset. I'm a little bit of a risky guy. I understand having to take risks and everything else in terms of entrepreneurialism. And quite frankly, I'm a big fan of the idea of just the nature of bankruptcy, but not, I've learned so much in my adult life. This is stuff that they don't teach you in school. I mean, bankruptcy for profit, for example, or control fraud, and all of these smoke and mirror tactics that until you wrap your head around, you don't understand power in this country. And then the Supreme Court got rid of, protections in terms of corruption and created Citizens United so that dark money can come through the system to create this absolute insanity of what we've got on the left. Well, it's not even the left. It's the Wall Street meritocracy, the party of Wall Street, right? Quite frankly, it's, look, the Biden administration is all BlackRock, but then the alternative to that, of course, is Trump and the white supremacist, Confederacy. And it's like the new robber barons versus the new Confederacy. Then the whole thing is coming to an end again. And it's all a con. For all of you, I'm just going to call you fucktards that are like all up in arms about, the big lie being the freaking election fraud. You're not getting the message that, one, Trump has been a con artist the whole life. He was definitely engaged with Trump University, which he admitted to $25 million restitution for predatory lending, but he did the same thing with, which there was just insane, contagion of fraud in the mortgage market when he had Trump mortgages, and that's where he learned this whole thing, where people would lie on their their underwriting and their forms to get loans approved. And he was like, aha, you could just make up the paperwork. That's what happens. That's what happened in the election certification fraud that Giuliani, Mr. Rico himself, was deeply involved with with what was actually happening in the lie, deny, switch the blame, implicate racket that Trump was doing with the big lie, right? So he tries to steal the election back, and why wouldn't he? Because nobody's getting pounded for freaking deception. I mean, Wall Street got away with a $29 trillion massive calamity that buried tens of millions of people. What Trump did, in comparison, to be honest with you, as sickening as it is small potatoes. So you can't be pointing the finger at Trump and going, oh my God, look at that guy. He's the worst thing. Like meathead Rob Reiner on Twitter all the time is saying these types of things. And it's just like, look, it's a train wreck madness from hell. And yesterday markets plunged 1,000 points. And why does that impact you? A lot of people, economists, are like, yeah, the stock market's not the real economy. Yeah, but except that it flows all the liquidity and everything else. And then ultimately, how do we get inflation? Well, they claim that we got inflation because we put so much liquidity in the system and we created all these stimulus sort of scenarios. Like, so many people apparently stole from PPP loans. It never occurred to me that should have happened. But again, we had COVID, things ground to a halt. Then suddenly markets just started blowing up. And then next thing you know, we started opening up the economy, and then there was supposedly this demand that was going on, but the demand seemed to be coming from a small sliver of the population jacking up all the prices because they made so much money in this grift that I'm talking about. And then ultimately you got supply chains, and you've got, oil in the hands of the few, and all the same problems that we've had for 4 decades. My friends, when are you going to have enough? I'm not talking to you assholes who are just fucking stupid that want to blame the other guy and pretend like this isn't a fixable situation, that the other guy's the problem when you don't see the big picture that I'm telling you. I'm talking to other people who aren't fucking morons. I'm talking to people that are actually solid, salt of the earth, good people that empathize with people, that want to help people, that want to build society, that want to be successful, that want, a society that actually makes sense, like society that I grew up with. At least I thought it did until it didn't. And then the long and the short of it is you have to have leadership that are educated, and the only apparatus that has the answers is us and the con. www.thecon.tv. Click, like and subscribe. Patrick Lovell, Truth Bombs the Con. I got to get these numbers up, man. I know that not all of us are fucking morons. I know that. I know all of us aren't freaking tag team and rape con artist villains that want to fucking play people in churches and then freaking rape their kids. I know that's not who we are as the United States. I know that there's women out there, for example, that are the most, and the ones that I'm working with, quite frankly, that support this endeavor, that are some of the most stoic, proud, incredibly courageous people that I've ever met. Where are the dudes, man? Where are the men with character? Where are the men who actually were going to demand better, not just from our society, but from ourselves? Again, I come back to some of these things that you've heard always, growing up from some of our leading politicians that, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. That makes a lot of sense. And don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Look, we've got to galvanize tens of millions of Americans that have got to get hip to the game, which is the con, www.thecon.tv. If you watch it 10 times. Get all your friends in on it. Tell everybody you freaking know, holy shit, this is how the system works. Do I focus on the housing industry and collapse? Yeah, but it's everything else is in the same freaking boat. This is how the system works. Look, this is 4 decades coming to a massive, massive conclusion. I don't see how we get out of this without some sort of significant war, quite frankly, waged between the new robber barons and the new Confederacy. And we're all just like pigs being led to slaughter? How about we have a new justice party, right? The new populism, justice leads everything. And what is justice? Well, you got to right wrongs. And who am I to tell you this? I'm a dude who believes in his family and life, liberty, and justice for all, and the American dream, and all of those things that actually make us what I thought we were. Where the fuck have you been? Why are you such a coward? Why are those of you who are so stupid just fucking stupid? Literally, what are you going to do? You're going to follow a con artist like Trump, or you're going to follow a con artist like Obama? Both of these guys are the system, man. They're just different faces within the system. They've got different allies, but they still play the same game. The banks loan against rich assets that the Federal Reserve props up, that it's all inside pool, and they do that to pull the wool over your eyes. Am I a communist? Am I a socialist? Fuck no. I believe in social democracy under this situation where tens of millions of people, I'd like to see justice in the courts. I would like to see, and this got me spawned yesterday. Oh my God. I'm on these email lists of all these homeowners out there that are, a part of these groups that are trying to find ways to get out of the courts and save their houses and do it with, a degree of proving the fraud, but they can't seem to get their shit together. And they seem to have always these attorneys that are sucking people dry, and it's always bullshit. And they started talking about RICO. Meanwhile, I have a whole bunch of them haven't seen the con. In fact, one person said the other day, hey, you know what? This guy's just trying to sell the con. Watch the Big Short instead, because that has all the answers. And I was like, God, this guy's a fucking idiot. And same with the rest of them. We were the only ones that found the only RICO conviction in the country. What is RICO? RICO was created by the government to fight the mob. It's racketeering, influence, corrupt organization that just deals with this whole complexity of different people doing different things for a criminal organization. And yes, we have the means to take that down, but you have to have prosecutors that go get the evidence, that put it all together, that then in turn, lay justice on the bad guys, which we found the only one in the United States that occurred, and it happened in Ohio. in the breadbasket, the Rust Belt. It was once the industrial heart of the heartland, they call it, because these guys have had to go through this, and this is what, quite frankly, Bruce Springsteen was singing about for decades, right? And now Bruce Springsteen, he sells his, music collection for like what, $350 million, and he's dancing with Obama. My God, dude. I couldn't imagine becoming so rich that I wouldn't remember who I was that got me there. You know what I mean? It's like, again, for all of you people that are like, Patrick, if it's so important, just offer the con for free. Like I said, we did. Go to a library. Get off your fat ass. Go to the library. Go get, Hoopla. Go download it, and you can watch it for free. Study it. Literally use those walls in the library to where you can put, dry pen on the whiteboard, and you can map it out and you can understand it, and then you can teach your friends. I need to empower many millions of people to be able to do this. And then, for those of you who don't need to do that, yeah, please spend $2 an episode. Why? Because I'm going to prove to the New York Times, the FBI, the entire apparatus, that I can make money, and a whole lot of it, by telling the truth. The truth matters above all else. Now more than ever, we're a sinking ship. It is the Titanic. What they've done is they've created these freaking helicopters and life rafts designed for the rich. They're going to be able to get off, scot-free, and they're going to be safe. And the rest of you are going to be struggling to get on the same lifeboat, and you're going to try to be killing each other to try to survive, and it's just stupid. I'm just trying to get you organized before you go under. And I'm trying to get you to understand we've got the answers. We've got the only answers. We're the only ones credible, and they try to destroy this, but truth will find a way. I'm convinced of that now more than ever. Please spread the word. Please join us. Check it out. JusticeParty.us, hashtag Justice Party, hashtag the resurrection, hashtag Exodus, hashtag Truth is Marching, hashtag Failure is not an option, hashtag the con. Onwards and upwards, my friends. Let's try to fucking save ourselves before it's too late. I just made a promise to myself that I was going to find the answers.